Welcome to the Cyber Rants Podcast, where we're all about sharing the forbidden secrets and slightly embellished truths about corporate cybersecurity programs. We're ranting, we're raving, and we're telling you the stuff that nobody talks about on their fancy website and trade show giveaways, all to protect you from cybersecurity criminals. And now, here's your hosts, Mike Rotondo, Zach Fuller, and Lauro Chavez.
Hello and welcome to the Cyber Rants Podcast. This is your co-host, Zach Fuller, joined by Mike Rotondo and Lauro Chavez. Hello, how are you guys doing?
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. This is our last recording of the year.
Yep. Happy Kwanzaa, Happy Hanukkah. Throw those two in there too. Sorry.
Yep. And whatever others we're missing.
Whatever others.
There's some more, but
holidays happy.
Yeah. What are you guys doing? What are you guys doing for the holidays?
Hoping Santa comes here. I don't know that he's got the COVID. I think he's exempt from that. So I'm hoping that he flies over and drops some new Wi-Fi pineapples my way. I'll take a Bash Bunny. It'd be nice.
What you're hoping for, huh?
Yeah. Oh yeah. I'll even take some used top layer gear too. It's fine.
Yeah. Hack 5, if you're listening, what to get Lauro for Christmas.
That's right. I've got the stockings just large enough to fix the large boxes for the nanos for your pineapple. So they'll just so you know that they'll fit right in those stockings. Or I even labeled it, put pineapple here.
How about some more Mac Mini black boxes for internal pen tests?
Oh yeah, that's on my list too. Yeah, no, my list of Santa this year was pretty ridiculous. I'm assuming he's snarking at me right now, but I'm waiting to see if I get the Wi-Fi pineapples, the Bash Bunnies, or the black box Mac Minis with 64 gig of RAM and the last gen of the i7. I don't know how I'm going to feel about this Ryzen chipset in my Macs, but that's okay. We'll roll it. I mean, they're already in there technically for some of the gear, but for the Pro series, I'm hopeful.
Well, we'll see what happens. I saw an article that some of the new MacBooks actually may be going back to Intel. I don't know if there's truth in that or not, but I didn't really read it.
What's Santa bringing you for Christmas this year, Mike? What'd you ask for?
A nap.
What?
A nap, some new Opus X, and a couple bottles of Lagavulin. The usual.
Nice.
Same thing I get for birthday, Easter, Thanksgiving, New Year's Eve.
Nice. I like that. Your list is consistent. So we always know what to get you for your birthday too. It's right there.
Nice.
That and my new Black Cat action figure. Got some vintage Darth Vader coming. So, that kind of stuff.
Nice. Oh, I see. You asked Santa for the good stuff.
Yeah. I've got enough tech to keep me busy for a while. I'd rather have toys and boxes I can't open but can look at. So.
Good point. What's Santa bringing you, Zach? What'd you ask for?
Oh, I don't even know. I haven't thought that far ahead yet. We've got so much going on right now. That's still a week away.
I thought he was going to bring you one of those electric mountain bikes so that you could, go ahead and accept your role as a middle-aged human.
How dare you? How dare you tell me I would ride an electric mountain bike? No way. I pedal the old-fashioned way. I embrace the pain and suffering of that sport, and it's glorious in every way.
You got robotic knees, man. Robotic knees. I thought you told me that Santa already brought you what you asked for, man. With that whole,
I got a whole new archery setup, new bow, release, arrows, whole 9 yards, and I'm starting to get halfway decent again after 22 years or so of not shooting. So, but gotta take more time to practice. Practice makes perfect. But yeah, it's going to be a busy, I think, for us. As we all know, this time of year is crazy, especially in the cybersecurity industry. A lot of these initiatives get pushed to the end, but
why?
I think we should get into that, but we want to make sure that we cover the foundational elements of the podcast first, which of course are the news and the vulnerabilities. Mike, you want to kick us off as anchorman?
Santa and the news.
So there's just a quick headline. I know we all know about the SolarWinds thing, so I'm going to give you a couple quick headlines on that one. But there's a new Microsoft malware out that affects over 30,000 PCs a day. So it's browser-based and delivered. So, keep an eye out for that. And that includes Edge, Chrome, Yandex, and Mozilla. So those are all out there. If you're really concerned about it, use Brave. Maybe that's not mentioned or used. Another thing that's, is kind of getting an old story with all the remote issues that we're seeing, all the remote attacks. We get people attacking kids now. Threat actors target K through 12 distance learning education. This warning comes from CISA and the FBI. And it's, it's bad enough that, you got politicians canceling snow days. And, you can't pull the Ferris Bueller ducking out of school when mom and dad know where you're at. So, now we're attacking kids over distance learning. So that needs to stop.
That's terrible.
Yeah, the Please Read Me ransomware attacks 85K MySQL servers. There's over 250,000 stolen databases on the website. And there's a whole list of, and I don't want to bore you all, but here's a quick one. Highly evasive attacker leverages SolarWinds supply chain to compromise multiple global victims with Sunburst backdoor. 18,000 organizations possibly compromised in massive supply chain and cyber attack. SolarWinds issues second hotfix for Orion platform supply chain attack. Interestingly enough, we've come across a couple clients that were not keeping up to date with their SolarWinds patches, so they were spared. That is the exception. That is not the rule. That is not a proper strategy going forward.
Security through obscurity right there working.
Yeah. Not highly recommended to not patch and, hope you're dodging the bullet. That being said, in this case, it did work. Concerns run high as more details of SolarWinds hack emerge. As we know, Homeland Security got hit, Treasury got hit, FireEye got hit. Silent sector did not get breached, so we got that going for us. Microsoft partnered with security firms to sinkhole the command and control servers. Domain, used in the SolarWinds hack. Microsoft is quarantining SolarWinds apps linked to the recent hack starting tomorrow. We're not saying this is how SolarWinds is backdoored, but there is an FTP password linked on GitHub in plain text. And guess what the password was? It was SolarWinds 123. I guess if they'd had SolarWinds 1, 2, 3, 4, maybe they wouldn't have gotten hacked. SolarWinds hackers' capabilities include bypassing MFA. This is kind of scary because if you can bypass MFA,
that is great.
There's a whole other thing beyond SolarWinds. If you're getting on MFA, which is arguably one of the better pieces of authentication security, we got bigger problems. Google had an outage, as we all know, but it wasn't tied to SolarWinds. Affected YouTube, Gmail, and more. Google outage tied to authentication system outage, not the supply chain attack. So, lastly, ending on a high note for all you Christmas shoppers, security issues in POS terminals open consumers to fraud. Anybody familiar with PCI is aware this is always a concern. Apparently, it's becoming a bigger issue due to some missing patches in POS terminals used by retailers worldwide. So be careful when you're using that credit card. Keep an eye on your next statement, and make sure that you're not buying oil and lumber in Uzbekistan instead of buying things at Macy's.
Where am I going to get my lumber and oil?
Well, maybe local, closer to home.
Okay. Well, I've always got good deals in Uzbekistan. So
yeah. Uzbek has the best deal on oil, I hear.
Well, Laura, what are the vulnerabilities of concern for the week?
Of concern? Well, I mean, that Microsoft is back on the list is no big surprise, but really the only thing for this week, if the Grinch is bringing in his bag of vulnerabilities, is more Oracle enterprise stuff. So it doesn't matter if you're using it in GNOME, or you're using it on Linux, or you're using it on Windows, or you're using it on Unbreakable Enterprise Linux. It doesn't matter if you're using Oracle in any fashion or form, please patch it. I've been just shocked at how many Oracle vulnerabilities have been out the last couple months. So lots of stuff going on there. But that's it. Nothing else really to talk about from a vulnerabilities perspective. The Grinch brought his bag of tricks and other fascist ways this time, I guess.
It's certainly been a interesting year, to say the least. I know a lot of people are going to be glad to see it over, but just the reminder, of course, cyber criminals have been ramping up their activities, and they're certainly not going to stop for the holidays. Be extra vigilant. dust off that IR plan, make sure that you have good visibility in your environment, because these activities aren't going to stop. They're not going to take a break for the holidays. But yeah, it has been an interesting year. There have been a couple things that to me kind of stood out. One with the lawsuit against Capital One for the big breach. You all heard about that, but that really opened up kind of a whole can of worms related to attorney-client privilege and how incident response is handled. Granted, the way it was done from a legal perspective, and I'm no attorney, was blatantly wrong. And so, in essence, if you didn't follow that, the opposing counsel was able to get all the forensics and like post-breach reports that were done for Capital One that they didn't know were going to get out. And so that, the opposing counsel was able to poke a bunch of holes in their security program and practices and resulted in major fines. So with that being said, a lot of people that are in the incident response space are being extra vigilant now, and that will kind of change how things are done forever when it comes to you as an organization getting and engaging incident response services. So if you don't already have a deep understanding of that, we won't go into depth today, but maybe another episode. But really, it comes down to consult your attorneys and make sure you have good ones that focus on that stuff. And then the other development I thought was interesting was the U.S. government's kind of shift in perspective, and I think it's a good shift, really imposing very steep fines on companies that pay ransoms to known threat actors, even if the companies don't know that is a known threat actor that they're paying a ransom to. The government can come and investigate and charge them outrageous amounts, and rightfully so. I think that's a step in the right direction. We have
Absolutely.
to get away from the incentives. We have to make it. We have to take out the economic benefits for cyber criminals to go out their business and do what they do. So
and this is
those
great.
are two things that stuck out to me.
No, that's great. And I think, man, I could say Santa probably brought me my present already this year, if that's, since that's been in place. Kind of forgot about that. We got to stop incentivizing these organizations for bad security practices with insurance coverage. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Because they feel if they pay the rent, they don't prepare, something happens, they can't back, right? They don't have backups or something simple like that, where they're like, oh, we're only taking snapshots. We weren't really backing anything up. And so now they've got to rebuild,
backups, which is even more critical.
Exactly. And so now you got to pay the cyber criminals because you didn't prepare. You should be punished for that. I mean, you should have already prepared, and your insurance shouldn't cover you, I don't think. And so I'm certainly glad to see this, because I do believe that bad security posturing should at this point be some form of, I don't want to say punishment, but you certainly shouldn't get a free ride from an insurance company because you made a bad decisions that led to a hack that cost a bunch of individuals like us and you and everybody out there listening their data.
Right.
Well, I think we talked about this in a previous podcast, is that, people have gotten lazy because of cybersecurity insurance. They're like, oh, I'm insured. It's kind of like a fender bender. No big deal. Insurance company will cover it. Not realizing the long-term damage or long-term financial impact of that kind of thing. And I think it's incumbent upon these insurance companies to start doing an actual risk assessment prior to writing a policy. I know there's a lot of, competition in the market, but, to get the policies out and get them written. But I would start demanding, at least some kind of attestation from a third party before writing a cybersecurity policy.
Yeah, couldn't agree more.
Absolutely. Otherwise, it's like me, getting, going and having 14 shots of Jameson or something. That's probably a bad example for the whiskey drinkers out there. But anyways, we'll use something better like whiskey.
Yeah, you really should be ashamed of yourself for that.
Yeah, I should. Okay, I was fine. Okay, so I'll be posh and I'll say I'll drink a fifth of Whistle Pig 15 year. Okay, fine. And then I'm going to get in my Corvette. I'm going to drive like a maniac on the highway. And I'm going to do it because I know it doesn't matter if I wreck my car because I have insurance. Right. I mean, it's exactly the same type of misbehavior these organizations are conducting with not being proactive with their programs in the thought and the mindset that it doesn't matter because I have cyber insurance.
Yep. And we could certainly go deep into the topic, but yeah, it's it's an interesting kind of dynamic of at first it was companies were almost rewarded. There's like, oh yeah, be good, you paid the ransom, got your data back. That's terrible thinking. But
are they actually really getting their data back? I mean, they're getting data, but that doesn't mean that whoever hacked them still doesn't have that data.
Yeah.
Well, and here's the work too. You've got to decrypt all the files.
Yeah.
It doesn't just magically go back when you've had a crypto locker attack or equivalent. I mean, you've got to put the keys in there to unlock everything. Yeah. So anyways, yeah, don't get Grinched this year. Remember the Grinch took Whoville on Christmas Eve.
It's a sad state of affairs, but I think there's some moves in the right direction. I'm optimistic to see what comes next year. I think it's going to be I think a lot of people are looking forward to next year, but I know that companies, at least the ones that we see and work with in the marketplace, are seem to be kind of getting used to this tempo and this kind of new way of life. They are being proactive again, getting things done again. Of course, a lot of that stacks up for year end because a lot of the work stopped earlier in the year when COVID hit. But next year, something to think about. We wanted to share for those organizations out there. It's very common for companies to push a lot of cybersecurity compliance initiatives, especially like pen testing and risk assessments and such, into Q4. So as you're planning for next year, one just a piece of advice we would provide is that you think about your kind of the cyclical nature of your security program. Think about the kind of the operational tempo of what you're doing when. And I'd recommend putting some of these activities that you traditionally do in Q4, move them up to Q2 or 3. And the reason for that is you're going to get better deals and more attention from a lot of cybersecurity companies because you won't be kind of trying to cram everything in at the last minute like a lot of companies do. So there's just my thoughts, kind of advice for next year as people are going about their planning and business.
Thank you for that, Zach. I'm going to follow that advice next year. That was awesome. You got any more good stuff for me that I can take into next year?
Eat lots of vegetables.
That's good. That's good.
Eat lots of vegetables, lean meats as well.
Oh, I asked Santa for lean meats.
Cut back on your.
You lost me already. Sorry.
Okay. I was about to say cut back on your alcohol intake, your caffeine intake, all those things, and.
Yeah, whatever, man. You can talk about Grinch.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Gotcha, the Grinch.
He's inside. The Grinch is here already. Oh no.
Gotcha, the vegetable.
That's. I'm only allowed one piece of wisdom per episode, and that was it. So I'm out. I'm done.
We're done. Well, that's probably good. That's a good place to end the show for the year, man. And yeah, so I hope everybody has a wonderful holiday season, including the two of you. I can't wait to see you both in the new year. So
I just want to thank all of our listeners. Please rate our show, provide your comments, good, bad, indifferent, rant away. We want to hear, we want to share things that are relevant to you and continue to improve this, make it better into the new year. So thank you again for joining us. Happy holidays. Hope you get to take some time off, much deserved, especially after this year. And we're looking forward to a great 2021.
Happy New Year, everyone.
Pick up your copy of the Cyber Rants book on Amazon today. And if you're looking to take your cybersecurity program to the next level, visit us online at www.silentsector.com. Join us next time for another edition of the Cyber Rants podcast.